Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Evan Freiberger, and I'm sure you guys have already heard about it. We have got this area of interest in the Caribbean, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different today in terms of this forecast. We're going to be going over the top 5 lies that have been going on about this system. There is some potential down the line of something forming, but what exactly is true? What exactly is false? And what's kind of in the middle? We're going to be going over the top 5 lies, starting with the number 5 and then going all the way to number 1, the most damaging lie of them all. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Lie number 5: because the ocean waters are so warm, we're going to be getting a stronger hurricane and also rapid intensification. As you can see right here, we do have a decent amount of warm water in the Caribbean and also Gulf of Mexico. We have a couple of 29s, 30s out there, 31s over there near Cuba, and also the Yucatan Peninsula. So the waters are definitely hot, but the warm waters are actually just one ingredient in what makes a tropical storm or a hurricane stronger. It's like saying, I'm going to make you cookies, but only with sugar. No one wants a burnt little piece of sugar as a cookie. They want the whole package. They want the chocolate chips. They want the vanilla in there. They want that cookie batter, all of that kind of stuff to have a delicious chocolate chip cookie, or in this case, unfortunately, a strong hurricane. So yes, the water temperatures are warm, but they don't guarantee, a stronger hurricane. Lie number 4: this is going to form into a hurricane and hit Florida. One of the things that I find interesting every time we get a tropical system that might be going into the Gulf of Mexico, it seems like people tend to point to the state of Florida a lot, and it's mainly because we've had some historic hurricanes, notably like Andrew. We have also had Ian in the past that have hit Florida and have caused some significant impacts. We have Matthew as well, and this is kind of a trend that's been going on social media. It seems like whenever we get a spinning thing in the Caribbean or near the Gulf of Mexico, you start to see those big arrows pointed at the state of Florida. But let's go ahead and dive into some of the latest forecast models and kind of show you guys, deeper into the future, just how uncertain everything is. So this is the GFS model, and as you can see, we do have our area of interest down in this region, right there. And watch that area as we push this forward. Eventually, going into the 23rd, we got a big old area of scattered showers and thunderstorms, and then eventually it tries to make it into the Gulf of Mexico. And then look at that. This model is saying it's going to hit Florida. So why is that a lie? Well, as you can see, this is just one model run. When you're this far out, the storm hasn't even formed. The models are going to struggle with the one intensity, the track of this thing, because it hasn't even formed yet. So, these storms are, hypothetically forming the storm in their computer system. And then once they extrapolate that onto on your screen and when you're seeing it, it's going to be wrong. It's always going to be wrong when it's just one model. That's why when we're this far out, we don't typically, take these tropical systems super seriously until they start to form that center of low pressure. And then that's when you see all the model consensus start to happen. We're going to go over to the ensembles and show you kind of what we usually do to try to come up with a picture of where the uncertainty is, because that's what you need to be looking for. People talking about, is the uncertainty getting more clear rather than trying to point to a direct landfall on a certain state. All right, so this is the EPS models, the Euro ensemble model, and pretty much what it does is it shows you, or if it has higher confidence, it'll show you, around 30 scenarios and what this thing can do. And as you can see, we get a bunch of little numbers pop up here in this region. That's near the Yucatan Peninsula. You see, we got some 05s, 99s. That's indicating the, estimated, pressures of this system, which would put it around a tropical depression or tropical storm. But as you can see, a lot of these members kind of go in different areas. You can see we have a huge spread here, and some that haven't even made it into the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. These guys over here could go somewhere completely different. We do got a couple near Florida, so that is a thing, but we also got some over here near Louisiana. We got these guys that might travel a little bit further to the west, or maybe a little bit further to the east. We got some that are over there near Cuba, so maybe there's still a chance that it goes south south of Florida. We've got a lot of different scenarios here being painted by the Euro ensemble here. So that's why it's technically a lie to show a deterministic model run hitting just one state. And it's not just me talking about that possibility. If we come over here to the National Hurricane Center, you can see they're saying a 60% chance over the next 7 days of this thing forming, not hitting land, but just forming. And then over the next 2 days, it has a 0% chance. So, we got some time. All right, let's wait. Let's see what this storm does. Let's wait for our hurricane hunters to get in there, give us some accurate data on what this storm is actually doing before we start showing hurricanes hitting land. Lie number 3, you need to start preparing for this storm right now. Okay, now this lie can be particularly damaging, but it's not the worst lie that you could say. That, again, the storm hasn't even formed. We don't know if it's going to be a tropical storm or a hurricane or even a major hurricane. We don't know those details yet. So why should you start preparing when a storm hasn't even formed yet? You don't even know what to prepare for. It's like saying, prepare for some rain, but it could be nothing, or it could be a lot of rain. What do you wear? Do you wear a poncho? Do you bring an umbrella? Or in this case, do you buy a bunch of supplies, to shore up your house from that storm surge? Or, do you prepare for major flooding? Do you buy a bunch of extra food because there's going to be a bunch of power outages and tree damage and it's going to be hard to navigate? Right now is not the time to prepare. It's time to look at the latest forecasts and to monitor them to see if you need to prepare, because, the first initial cities that are going to be called out for this storm, they're not even guaranteed to get landfall even when we start to get that information in. So just watch the latest forecasts. It's all you need to do. And the reason why this is kind of damaging is because, if you tell somebody that they need to prepare and you put a big hurricane over their state, they're unfortunately going to, spend a lot of money preparing for something, especially if you scare them enough. It's time to be patient. Lie number 2, this will hit the United States as a major hurricane. It's going to have huge impacts. This is going to be a massive storm. All right, so we're going back over to our models, and this is what your very typical fear monger will do. This is a POV of what they do. I'll come over here. Let's see. Go to the GFS. The GFS always has some crazy runs, especially with these hurricanes. And then we'll go over here to the worst of it, and then I'm going to make my thumbnail about this. And then during my video, I'm going to hide these numbers up here so you can't tell that I'm looking at a previous run. And then also, I'm going to push this forward and start saying crazy words like, "Oh my gosh, a massive hurricane is going to form. Look at that pressure. It's 937. This is going to be a major nuclear powered storm that's going to drop cats and dogs out of the sky and destroy entire cities." And this is paired with the fact that, oh my gosh, this is going to hit this city, is some of the most damaging things. But this is the prelude to that, the hyping of the storm, cherry picking deterministic models. Again, this is one model run. We just looked at a model that paints a picture of 30 scenarios. And, as you can see, this one is an outlier, but, and it's a big outlier, obviously. This is actually a model run that came out 2 days ago, but you wouldn't know that if I didn't tell you. That's the thing. There are people out there that do that. They cherry pick the model, they look for the worst run, and then they'll put their entire forecast or their entire broadcast or their entire video about this worst case scenario, and then they bring it all in the land, and they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, Panama City is going to be exploded." It's like, guys, calm down. This is weather. We don't know. We don't know this early. That's why I'm doing this video, just to give you guys a sense of calm, because as we get closer with these tropical systems, people start hyping and they start using all these crazy words, and people start preparing too early. They start spending too much money when the landfall's not even guaranteed in their area. I mean, the storm hasn't even formed yet. Come on. All right, finally, lie number 1, the one that you guys have been waiting for, is combining the fact that, hey, this is going to hit a state. This is going to be a strong, massive hurricane. And not only that, calling out a city. And there's a reason actually why Houston is one of the most popular cities to be called out this far out when the forecast is all mumble jumbled, and people can do this, they can draw a huge circle, but then they point that arrow at Houston. Notice it on thumbnails or, on graphics, that kind of, for a news story, they'll have an arrow. If there is uncertainty, they'll have like a big circle, with like some lines maybe in there, but then the arrows like either always pointed at Houston or New Orleans or Tampa, or sometimes, say the circle includes Miami, they'll point it at Miami. Why is that? Why aren't they pointing it at a small city? Well, that's why. It's because when there is weather, one of the main metrics, and everybody that does weather that is successful knows this fact. It's just something that you notice in the analytics, is that when there's a big city that is in the path of a storm, you get more clicks because there's more people interested in the storm itself. And that's why, you'll start to see that people point those arrows at cities, because it's going to get them clicks. It's going to generate them revenue. Why not? The forecast is going to change. No one's going to call them out. No one's going to go into maybe one person will go in the comments and notice it, but no one really notices usually the egregious lie. But subconsciously, the person clicks on the video because they see an arrow pointed at their city. And then you show them the scenarios. And if you show them the scenarios and then you zoom in all the way to the city and you're like, yeah, Houston needs to prepare for this. It could be a major, massive, super nuclear hurricane, storm of the century, bringing down terror and destruction to everybody. You're not going to get most people with those lies, but there are going to be some people down there that are going to believe it, and they're going to, and you're going to damage their lives. It's expensive to prepare for these things, buying all those extra materials. And then as we get closer, to the event, the landfall, makes, we usually don't get landfalls in major cities. It's usually in, some, like not very populated city, like over here near Perry, or, our last one made landfall, in the middle of nowhere out here near Morgan City, south of that. It's like, but, you get more clicks when you say Houston or New Orleans or Tampa or Miami. Watch out. And I think that's one of the most egregious lies, because you're not only, hyper focusing on these cities, to get those clicks, but, you're freaking out the most people possible. You're doing the most damage in terms of, bringing up the fear levels in terms of panic by singling out those cities. And, that's just not cool. It's just not cool. Can we stop doing that? Can we stop doing that? Can we just wait? Can we just be patient? Jeez Louise. Anyways, guys, that's my video for today. Hopefully you learned a little bit about the common lies and also the possibilities of this. As you can see, I kind of snuck a forecast in there. So, if you did enjoy that, I'm going to try to do, more creative content like this. Maybe some metaphors, maybe a whole video will be a metaphor. If you want to see weather forecasts like that, hit that like and subscribe button so you get notifications for the next one. But until then, guys, I'll see you guys on the next forecast. Peace.